The Big Brag by Dr. Seuss. The rabbit felt mighty important that day on the top of the hill in the sun where he lay. He felt so important up there on that hill that he started in bragging as animals will. He boasted out loud and he threw out his chest. Of all of the beasts in the world, I'm the best. On land and on sea, even up in the sky, no animal lives who is better than I. What's that? Growled a voice that was terribly gruff. Now why do you say such ridiculous stuff? The rabbit looked down and he saw a big bear. I'm the best of the beasts, said the bear, and so there. You're not, snapped the rabbit. I'm better than you. Pooh, said the bear. Again, I say pooh. You talk mighty big, Mr. Rabbit, that's true. But how can you prove it? Just what can you do? Thought the rabbit. Now what can I do? He thought and he thought. Then he finally said, Mr. Bear, do you see these 2 ears on my head? My ears are so keen and so sharp and so fine. No ears in the world can hear further than mine. Grumped the bear as he looked at each ear. You say they are good, said the bear with a sneer. But how do I know just how far they can hear? I'll prove, said the rabbit, my ears are the best. You sit there and watch me, I'll prove it by test. He stiffened his ears till they both stood up high, and he pointed straight up at the blue of the sky. He stretched his ears open as wide as he could. Shh, I'm listening, he said as he stood. He listened so hard that he started to sweat, and the fur on his ears and forehead got wet. For 7 long minutes he stood, then he stirred, and he said to the bear, Do you know what I heard? Do you see that far mountain? It's 90 miles off. There's a fly on that mountain, and I just heard him cough. Now the cough of a fly, sir, is quite hard to hear when he's 90 miles off, but I hear it quite clear. So you see, bragged the rabbit, it's perfectly true that my ears are the best, so I'm better than you. The bear for a moment just sulked as he sat, for he knew that his ears couldn't hear things like that. This rabbit, he thought, made a fool out of me. Now I've got to prove that I'm better than he. So he said to the rabbit, You hear pretty well. You can hear 90 miles, but how far can you smell? I'm the greatest of smellers, he bragged. See my nose? This nose on my face is the finest that grows. My nose can smell anything, both far and near. With my nose, I can smell twice as far as you can hear. You can't, snapped the rabbit. I can, growled the bear. And he stuck his big nose way up in the air. He wiggled that nose and he sniffed and he snuffed. He waggled that nose. He whiffed and he wuffed. For more than 10 minutes, he sniffed and he snuffed. Then he said to the rabbit, I've smelled far enough. All right, said the rabbit, come on now and tell exactly how far is the smell that you smell. Oh, I'm smelling a very far smell, said the bear, away past that fly on that mountain out there. I'm smelling past many great mountains beyond, 600 miles more to the edge of a pond. And way, way out there by the pond you can't see is a very small farm. On the farm is a tree. On the tree is a branch. On the branch is a nest, a very small nest where 2 tiny eggs rest. 2 hummingbird eggs, only half an inch long. But my nose, said the bear, is so wonderfully strong. My nose is so good that I smelled without fail that the egg on the left is a little bit stale. And that is a thing no rabbit can do. So you see, the bear boasted, I'm better than you. My smeller's so keen that it can't be beat. What's that? Called a voice from way down by his feet. The bear and the rabbit looked down at the sound, and they saw an old worm crawling out of the ground. Now, boys, said the worm, you've been bragging a lot. You both think you're great, but I think you're not. You're not half as good as a fellow like me. You hear, you smell, but how far can you see? No, I'm here to prove to you big boasting guys that your nose and your ears aren't as good as my eyes. And the little old worm cocked his head to one side, and he opened his eyes, and he opened them wide. And they looked far away with a strange sort of stare, as if they were burning 2 holes in the air. The eyes of that worm almost popped from his head, and he stared half an hour till his eyelids got red. That's enough, growled the bear. Tell the rabbit and me, how far did you look, and just what did you see? Well, boys, the worm answered, that look that I took was a look that looked farther than you'll ever look. I looked across the ocean way out to Japan, for I can see farther than anyone can. There's no one on earth who has eyesight that's finer. I looked past Japan, then I looked across China. I looked across Egypt, then took a quick glance across the 2 countries of Holland and France. Then I looked across England and also Brazil. But I didn't stop there. I looked much further still. And I kept right on looking and looking until I looked round the world and right back to this hill. And I saw on this hill, since my eyesight's so keen, the 2 biggest fools that have ever been seen. And the fools that I saw were none other than you, who seem to have nothing else better to do than sit here and argue who's better than who. Then the little old worm gave his head a small jerk, and he dived in his hole and went back to his work. Thank you guys so much for joining me for story time today. I hope you enjoyed Dr. Seuss's The Big Brag. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that each time I post a new story, you'll be the first to know. See you next time. Be sweet.